Xbox finally spoke more about their multi-platform strategy, and it does give us a broader picture as to what we should expect from them in the future, especially with some big titles coming up. We got a lot to get through, so let's break that all down. Up next. What's going on, guys? It's Kalo, and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. And as per usual, before we get into today's story, I want to shout out each and every one of you guys. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers here on this channel. Hopefully we hit that sometime soon. That'll be pretty damn awesome. But I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys that do support this channel. I started it with not really thinking too much about it. No big intentions, but here we are, 951 of you guys later. And yeah, it's just fun to see. So the future of Xbox is the one out of the big three that leaves a lot of room for speculation and potentially a little hope, dare I say it. We got hints at a handheld console, a more traditional home console, the cloud, Game Pass, and plenty of other big titles in the pipeline. Speaking of big titles, the moves they've been making recently in regards to some of their biggest platform exclusives is also a rather unprecedented move, and a move in which that has garnered a lot of varying opinions online, and rightfully so. This movement started off with just a handful of older titles that could use that injection of a new player base, which is clearly paying off in spades. But then the conversations expanded to some of Xbox's most hallowed franchises, like Gears of War, Halo, and potentially Fable. But a more recent release that has got people talking was this timed release of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the PS5. This was a move that made people scratch their heads, and recently Xbox's own Matt Booty shed more light on this choice, and more specifically when we talk about Xbox and what they say, context here is always key. Quote, "We are very much making the exclusivity and windowing decisions on a game-by-game basis, and each of our studios is in a little bit of a different position. There's also the production timeline on a game, so the decision on spacing comes there first. We want to make sure there's a great experience for our Xbox players, and then the gap between when it becomes available on PlayStation is as much of a production decision as anything else. This is a game that was in production before we acquired Bethesda." Now that little line right there at the end is the thing that stood out to me most, so let's dive into that more. Now it's almost like they're falling on this idea that this game was in production before we even got there. So hey, we might as well let it be. Plus, not to mention, there may have been plans in place for this title already. And I only say that because this is a Disney-owned IP, so because it's not solely theirs, that might be the case here too. But I do think they shot themselves in the foot here with this title by announcing the PS5 port a little bit early before the release on the Xbox platform along with the PC. This encourages a lot of what would be potentially new Xbox Game Pass subscribers, or do I go as far as saying customers for a brand new console, to wait it out until it hits the PS5. And no, I'm not saying Indiana Jones is this big console mover, but it's worth putting it out there. The better strategy there could have been do a full 1-year exclusivity deal with Xbox, then announce the PS5 port sometime over the summer, just to kind of wait it out, but hey, that's why I'm not in charge. Now, reading between the lines even further, I think any game created post-acquisition is more apt to get this exclusivity tag from Xbox. To that, I hopefully look to titles like Gears of War E-Day, Fable, and even Perfect Dark. Now, that doesn't rule out timed exclusivity either, so I just kind of want to put that out there, just to cover my bases. Again, this far-gone conclusion that consoles aren't important anymore is pretty wild to me, and I still do think they value that console user base. It was actually recently revealed that a slew of Xbox Game Pass subscribers all stem from the console user base, and for every third-party game sold on Xbox, they get a cut of that. So I'm basically saying there's just too much money tied up there, and what I think is going on here is Xbox won't flat out abandon their console exclusives. Rather, what I think is really going on here is they're just doing a different strategy, especially when compared to their competitors, albeit it's a pretty wild one. Now, I do think this is where it's going to be interesting to see how they strike that balance moving forward, because a lot of money can be made here when done right. But the biggest question mark that looms over them is how will this rather bold strategy for exclusivity affect future console sales, which that is yet to be seen. With prospects like the largest technical leap forward in a home console and a handheld, the future of Xbox seems pretty damn bright. But again, when talking about Xbox, execution is key. But with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this one off to you guys. What do you think about all this? What do you think about the future of Xbox? But that about does it here. I've been Kalo. I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video. And this has been the Level Up.